time for a quick run to Walgreens to get printer ink. If I do get my reference photo printed, I might start a little bit of the underdrawing for my painting, but I'm taking it slow today. Just really want to get my plans in place so that I don't feel like chicken without a head running around all of December. I love your gloves.
They're warm.
They're so cute.
How much of life is about doing things that initially we don't feel that excited to do.
This just wasn't cutting it. This should help. You're much better. Still fits here. I'm testing out a mirror there to see if it adds a little more visual interest. Pretty, pretty. Mr. Banana's getting a makeover. You think anybody else is decorating a banana tree for Christmas? That's okay, we're almost done. I love it. So festive. I've done it. I've absolutely butchered my morning by just wanting to rearrange everything. I'm kind of procrastinating on starting my underdrawing. I really should get to it, but I keep waiting for like the perfect moment and everything in my brain to feel figured out. The cleaning and rearranging did help quite a bit though. We have our cute little lights on the banana tree. My nativity at the bottom. That will be the studio Christmas tree. I have a few topics to share with you today, from how I like to plan my month, my method for underdrawings, and the major points of progress in my last 2 years of artwork. What line to do next? I'm really enjoying my new setup. I like it. I can go back and forth between my desk and here much easier. This is going well. I've got a few of the major lines on there. So sunny, I love it. I love it! I'm kind of obsessed with this setup now. My coffee, snacks, and drinks can even go on here where it's got glass. Feel focused when I work here. My tree is looking cute. And finally, I have a start on this with this kind of counter edge. It's actually curved from the perspective, so I had to do a couple extra points in there to get that a little more natural than the straight line I would probably usually do. I'm hoping I can sneak in the bigger mirror today. This one's pretty, but I think a little wider and a little taller would be just right. I need to plan some December stuff. I guess goals and scheduling for the month. I have a list of like 8 things that I kind of need to figure out. First one is my daily schedule. I would like to read at night more when it's dark versus distracting myself. And I have a spot on here for books I want to read, so I should fill that out. I hate using fancy planners. I've tried using Notion and other things, but I just fall off track within a week because it's too much effort to keep the planner up to date. And that's not what I want to be spending my time on. I kind of just stick to the Notes app and bulleting things out. And now I have weekly schedule. This has kind of changed a bit because I'm not on my own day to day, but a lot of things are still the same. I edit at the end of the week. I'm trying to get my editing down to 1 day a week though. Painting is still Monday through Wednesday. Sometimes extra, depends on the week. Top 3 goals. Probably to finish the painting I'm starting. My personal tasks, which would be Christmas shopping, inspiration to pull from. What's the artist that I said this morning I really like?
Cinta Vidal.
Can you spell her first name? I like her work and I haven't really looked at it in a while. I wonder if she has a book or something. That's one of my inspirations this month. Are you... Look what Yvonne just sent me. Are you okay? Are you? Okay, I have a category called Area to Let Go of. is things that I don't mind like not paying attention to or not doing as good of a job with for the month, because you really can't focus on everything. So I'm thinking that letting go of things happening at a certain time would be the most beneficial to me. One of my goals in December is almost always to plan 2024, or at least build up some inspiration for it. So let's do that. There, December plans done. And I can write all over this and adjust it on the paper. I have to move my laundry. The figure is slowly appearing. I'm being pretty particular with the accuracy of this line just because it is sort of my focal point. My goal is to get her silhouette on the panel today. Okay, I've got good progress on the figure in the underdrawing. The screens and squares, didn't do those. Do them tomorrow. Video topic bullets. Not bad, not bad. I'm making a little midnight sandwich. It's not even midnight, it's like 5:30, but it's so dark outside. Oh, I love this guy. I have had many requests to explain how I transfer my image to my panel while scaling it up to fit this. I already have an image that is proportionate to this. This is 1/3 of the scale of my panel, so I'm going to be multiplying everything by 3, and that was all set up in Photoshop. I tend to work from the larger shapes into smaller ones. For simplicity's sake, I'll work through this picture. So one of the most important parts of this is figuring out what the essential shape is. I tend to find where 2 dots are connecting or 2 edges are connecting. I just want to figure out how far that edge is from the bottom of my picture. That's about 5.5 centimeters. I'm gonna multiply that by 3. I get 16.5. For my underdrawing, I use a Prismacolor Premier marker. This is specifically light umber 40%. Let's measure that 16.5 out. Right now, I'm just guessing roughly where it goes in this direction. 16.5. Place my dot. We've got one tiny dot. We have this y-axis figured out. Now we have to do the other direction. Let's measure our point from this edge, a side edge of our image, 10.35, 31.05. We want to check now how close he was to where it's supposed to be. Looks like we're pretty far off this time. But because I have the T-square, we can kind of carry that height over. 31. That is one correct dot. This dot we would basically ignore now. Sometimes I'll make it bigger. Now we need to connect that dot to another one to create our edge here. We'll do the same thing to figure out where this corner exists, and from the side of the image that point is 31.5. Here's our height. Now we want to move it over to 31.5. Then for the fun part, we connect it. There. As another example, every little dot that you see along this line was a measurement either from the side of the panel or a measurement from the top, and then connecting vinyl dots together. One of the main reasons I use this method is because of the subject matter. It's very architectural, so the use of straight lines, horizontal lines, and perspective lines is very important. And everything is plumb and square and tight to the edges of my panel, which I really like. I get this sense of a puzzle fitting together, an accurateness that only comes from physical objects, which is something interesting to me, so this really isn't too difficult. feel like I need to do a little bit of a check-in after the weekend. It's Monday and I'm slowly getting into things. I'm working on this little spot, a couple other areas here too. I did get a few fun things while I was out yesterday that I've been wanting to try. 2 acrylic inks. I've heard these are great for underpaintings because they're fairly transparent, and I also wanted them for some smaller paintings. 2 new acrylic paints. I just don't have anything like these colors currently, but the necessity I went for was a large tube of their white paint, which I really like the consistency of. For funsies, because you can't get art supplies without new brushes. I got a new mop, oval mop brush, and then just a new 1/2-inch wash. Oh, and pre-made panels. I'm hoping to do more small paintings as exercises and studies because I really enjoy doing those smaller plein air pieces in the summer, and I don't want to lose that part of my practice that is actual practice. I'll probably share a lot of those on here as well. That could be a fun little series. Don't mind me just measuring my life away. I've also been thinking a lot about authenticity because that's the title of the book I'm reading right now. It's very interesting and it's making me notice in myself and in others when people are really going down a path just because it seems right externally, but it's not based off their intrinsic motivations and uniqueness. And the more that I recognize what that looks like, negative effect it has, it really makes me just give up on trying to be something because that's what others are doing. Even when I was picking these out, I was having a hard time picking colors because I've been known to be influenced by a good-looking painting someone has done without asking myself, is that really what I would want to make? Eventually I got the ones I wanted, but it's hard to figure that out. Are we matching today? I feel like we look good together. We both have brown and white and a kind of orange. I'm taking my sweet time, per usual, to... I have a stand. That's convenient. Look who's here! I'm working on planning out a video and then hopefully I will do some of my underdrawing. Been procrastinating. I found some old pictures of me working on projects back in school. It's kind of fun to see. I need to write out my to-dos. New and improved mirror. It's really just the old sliding door from a closet. I think it adds a nice depth and light behind my working space. I would do a fit check, but my plant is absorbing all the space. I'm obsessed. Now I should probably do some real work. I don't know why I didn't put everything up on the board, just being silly before like this for the past few days. While I do a little bit more work on this, I am going to talk about some of the major progress I've made in my art over the last 2-ish years. I committed myself to doing art full-time around the end of 2021. So I'm only gonna talk about that time period for the most part. Prior to that was just about 10 years of enjoying art here and there as one of my main hobbies. I also went to art school, did a lot of painting and drawing there too, but just wasn't as serious. I've realized over the years that the scale of the projects you work on is really important. When I was doing design projects in school, they would usually take about a month. I felt satisfied putting in the effort for that time period and what I got out of it. And then when I went to design full-time somewhere, I realized that a lot of projects last multiple years. Even if your section of work on it is a few months, it just felt slow to me for the pace that I want to work out ideas and then come to a resolution. So with art, one of the biggest things I had to come to terms with was how large do I want to work, but more importantly, how much time do I want to spend per painting? Because in the beginning, I tried doing a painting every day, which was a good exercise and got me into the routine of making frequently. But after a while, I felt a little bit worn out and also not super happy with what I was making. Those smaller pieces showed me how to sit down and focus for 3 to 5 hours on painting, which was really rewarding. But the pieces themselves, I couldn't do this for more than a few weeks before I kind of lost a little bit of interest. So after that, I started to work slightly bigger and would spend about a week or maybe a couple weeks on a piece, which was a little bit better. And at the same time, I was putting more effort into subject matter and finding references I liked. I had more of a direction that was motivating, and I was becoming more excited about the final pieces and not just the painting process itself. But the real turning point was a little bit after that, when I did a large piece of a reference image that I took and that was also of a subject matter that made me excited. And as I was working on it, I remember thinking, like, this is what I want to feel every time that I'm making stuff. And the end result, I loved it as well, and the amount of time I spent on the piece was a good balance of stretching myself, but also feeling comfortable. Something felt right, which was good. I was looking for that feeling. As I was figuring out that I liked images with depth and layers and interior spaces, that also added another aspect of interest for me, because now it wasn't just the painting part that I liked, it was what I was bringing to life. I kept with this method and I started another piece, which ended up taking me a long time. And I did feel stuck for a while. I probably had just a lot of other life stuff going on. I kind of had done a lot of self-teaching and exploring and plateaued a little bit. So I ended up taking a plein air class. I had never done plein air before, and I was a little intimidated at the idea of painting even around other people with a time crunch out in nature where you can't really control what's going on. It scared me, and that's exactly what I needed. That plus having a mentor. I knew who the teacher was going to be and had already heard great things, and I wanted to seek out somebody that could really foster the next step of my growth. Within that class, I gained a lot of confidence just from having more feedback around my work, learning more techniques in terms of color mixing, values, how to show depth. I had to learn how to sense what I was attracted to and what I liked, which happened to be walls, buildings, windows. I don't know. It just worked out that way. At the same time, I was becoming just surrounded by more art in general and more artists, books about artists, my mentor who I could talk to, and gained a broader knowledge of the purpose of art, what I want my direction within it to be. I didn't want to exist in this silo of painting in my studio. One of the biggest changes in my work was understanding the design of a painting more, how to hold attention, how to move it around, either with color, lighting, contrast, shapes, marks. Each piece that I made became more intentional, and I found myself enjoying this while making a painting. I had more to think about. Personally, I liked that aspect of it. The confidence in my work and in how I do it took me time, which was probably the most important point of progress that I've made. It's taken me a while to understand how to believe in what you're doing, to do things the way that makes sense to you, that light you up, and I'm coming to enjoy that. I think every time I set out to make a painting, I want at least one aspect of it to challenge me. I still think about that a lot, and I reference my old work, analyzing it, looking at it, figuring out what I like. For now, I learn a lot from reflecting on what I'm doing, for sure. I can't believe I've been working just on this section for 2 days now. I'm starting to think this will take me all week. It's fine if I just let go of my imaginary deadlines that I don't have because I'm the boss. I have been doing the same thing all day and need to get out. So despite the cold, I think I'm going for a walk. See if these guys want to come with. You want to go for a walk? This one, the hat. I always think I want to start caring more about my appearance and coordinating stuff. It doesn't happen. One day when I have more money and time. No, when I hire my own sister as a personal stylist and assistant, maybe then I'll start looking better. Shout out to Veronica. Would you like to work for me? Volunteer because I have no money? Let's walk. That guy is ready.
I look at spaces just beyond touch and can feel my spirit filling the void, seeping into every nook and window, traversing the forms like an ant climbing mountains. The border between myself and space is paper thin, molding each other with our movements and attention.
I still have a lot to get done on this, and I think I'm closing in on 2 weeks, but I gotta keep going.
One corner slips out of place and I feel it. The whole world is hinged together in my mind, each piece hanging on to one another, relying on the other's strength, honesty, and transparency. Everything becomes a landscape, inside or out, reflection or form. Ecosystems with their own fingerprint, ready to bring us into the fold.
I think I'm losing it. I had fun chatting with you guys about my progress, why I like to do what I do, why that matters. I will just be here for probably another few days finishing this, and that's it.